then in green wood with spice among the stems, and then in cloth of gold with precious gems, and many a flower garland in the stir of breathing incense and the scent of myrrh, nor how our Sita lay among it all, nor of the wealth and splendor of his pall, nor how Emily thrust in the fire as custom was and lit the funeral pyre, nor how she fainted when they fed the flame, nor what she said or thought, and I shall name none of the jewels that they took and cast into the fire when it flamed at last, nor shall I tell how some threw shield and spear, or what their garments by the burning bier, nor of the cups of wine and milk and blood that others poured upon the fiery flood, nor tell you how the Greeks in mighty rout left-handedly went thrice and thrice about the flaming pyre and shouted as they drove, and thrice they clashed their spears about the grove. Nor yet relate how thrice the ladies wept, nor who supported Emily and kept pace with her homeward, nor shall it be told how Prince Arcita burnt to ashes cold, nor how the wake was held in the delight of funeral games that lasted all the night. What naked wrestler, glistening with oil, made the best showing in his dangerous toil, I will not say, nor say how one by one they all went home after the games were done. But shortly, to the point, for I intend to bring my long narration to an end. In course of time, and after certain years, mourning had been accomplished, and their tears were shed no more by general consent, and then it seemed they held a parliament at Athens, touching certain points and cases, and among these they dealt with certain places with which to form alliances abroad, and keep the Thebans fully overawed. And noble Theseus ordered thereupon that summons should be sent for Palamon, not knowing for what reason ordered back, and still in melancholy suit of black, Palamon came to this authority in haste. Then Theseus sent for Emily. When all were seated there and hushed the place, the noble Duke kept silent for a space, and ere he chose to let his wisdom fall, his eyes ranged slowly round about the hall. Then with a sober visage and the still sound of a sigh, he thus expressed his will. The first great cause mover of all above, when first he made that fairest chain of love, great was the consequence, and high the intent. He well knew why he did, and what he meant. For in the fairest chain of love he bound fire and air and water and the ground. Of earth in certain limits they may not flee. And that same prince and mover then, said he, established this poor world, appointing ways, seasons, durations, length of certain days, to all that is engendered here below. Past the predestined hour none may go, though we have power to abridge our days. I need not quote authority or raise more proof than what experience can show, but give opinion here from what I know. Since we discern this order, we are able to know that Prince is infinite and stable, and any but a fool knows in his soul that every part derives from this great whole. For nature cannot be supposed to start from some particular portion or a mere part, but from a whole and undisturbed perfection, descending thence to what is in subjection. To change and will corrupt, and therefore he is wise. And therefore he is wise, foreknowledge stabilized the decree, that species of all things and the progression of seed and growth continue by succession, and not eternally. This is no lie, as any man can see who has an eye. Look at the oak, how slow a tree to nourish, from when it springs until it comes to flourish. It has so long a life, and yet we see that in the end it falls, a wasted tree. Consider, too, how hard the stone we tread under our foot, that very rock and bed on which we walk, is wasting as it lies. Time will be when the broadest river dries, and the great cities wane and last descend into dust, for all things have an end. For men and women we can plainly see 2 terms appointed, so it needs must be, that is to say, the terms of youth and age, for every man will perish, king and page, some in their beds, and some in the deep sea, and some upon the battlefield maybe. There is no help for it, all take the track, for all must die, and there is none comes back. Who orders this? But Jupiter, the king, the prince and cause of all and everything, converting all things back into the source from which they were derived, to which they course? And against this no creature, here alive, whatever his degree, may hope to strive. Then hold it wise, for so it seems to me, to make a virtue of necessity, take in good part what we may not eschew, especially whatever things are due to all of us. He is a foolish soul that's rebel against him who guides the whole, and it is honor to a man whose hour strikes in his day of excellence and flower, when he is certain of his own good name, and never known in any act of shame, and gladder should a friend be of his death, where there is honor in the yielded breath, gladder than for a name by age made pale, and all forgotten the heroic tale. This is the time, if you would win a name, to die upon the moment of your fame. The contrary of this is willfulness. Why do we gamble? Why do we grumble? What is the distress? If good our seat, the flower of chivalry, departed in all honor stainlessly, set free from the foul prison of this life, shall those he loved, his cousin and his wife, murmur against his welfare, or suppose he can return to them thanks? Not he, God knows. Offending so against him, they offend themselves, and are no better in the end. So what conclusion can I draw from this, except that after grief there should be bliss, and praise to Jupiter for all his grace? So ere we make departure from this place, I rule that of 2 sorrows we endeavor to make one perfect joy to last forever. Then let us look at where we find herein the greatest grief. Let happiness begin. Sister, he said, it has my full assent, and has confirmed by this my parliament, that gentle Palamon, your own true knight, who loves and serves you heart and soul and might, and always has since first he saw your face, shall move you to feel pity, gain your grace, and so become your husband and your lord. Give me your hand, for this is our award. Let us now see your womanly compassion. By God, he's a king's nephew. Were his fashion no more than that of a knight bachelor, what with the years he served and suffered for your love, unless his sufferings deceive me, he would be worth considering, believe me. A noble mercy should surpass a right. And then he said to Palamon the knight, I think there needs but little sermoning to gain your own assent to such a thing. Come near, and take your lady by the hand. And they were joined together by the band. That is called matrimony, also marriage, by counsel of the Duke and all his peerage. And thus, with every bliss and melody, Palamon was espoused to Emily, and God, that all this wide world has wrought, send them his love, for it was dearly bought. Now Palamon is in joy amid a wealth of bliss and splendor, happiness and health. He's tenderly beloved of Emily, and serves her with a gentle constancy, and never a jealous word between them spoken, or other sorrow, in a love unbroken. Thus ended Palamon and Emily, and God save all this happy company. Amen. And that is the end of the Knight's Tale.